The dancers welcome us to paradise. Aloha. The sun shines bright and the water is perfect. You can almost think of this as a vacation at the end of a long, hard year. So get aboard, but don't relax too much. This is going to be one fast ride. Welcome to Ralph's UHRA Thunder Tour, presented by Las Vegas. Coming to you from Honolulu, Hawaii. We're at Pearl Harbor for the JN Automotive Hydrofest, and it really is a festival. Hello, everybody. I'm John Nicholson. Our viewpoint from the Ferris wheel, high above the race course here. There's so much going on besides the boat racing, but that, of course, is our main reason for being here. Dave Villwock and the Miss Budweiser team have wrapped up the team season championship. Doesn't necessarily mean they'll be the winners here. They are the top qualifier, but Appy and Geronimo with Mitch Evans is close behind. And one more team hoping to give the Budweiser trouble. Outrigger Hotels presents Lumar Window Film with Nate Brown, the driver. Let's go to my partner, Steve Montgomery, in that camp.
Bill Worcester's U8 race team is here at Pearl Harbor for the 98 Hydrofest with sponsorship from Best Westerns, Outrigger Hotels Resorts Hawaii, as well as the Lumar Window Film people who have been with them throughout much of the season. But the fact that they're here is quite a story. A month ago, this boat was upside down and badly damaged in the salt water of Mission Bay at San Diego. The crew had only 4 days to do a job that would normally have taken 2 months before the boat had to go on the boat to come here to Hawaii. They got some help from the Budweiser team, but still had a lot of work to do after the boat arrived here. So while the rest of the crews were relaxing and playing golf and enjoying the islands, these guys have been very busy. But now the work is complete. The boat is running well. Nate Brown has a good ride. And we have a good, strong 7-boat field.
For Nate Brown on the Outrigger Hotels presents Lumar Window Film, Heat 1A was the first time in a heat since Nate went upside down in San Diego. And he found himself in the same heat with Miss Budweiser and Dave Villwock. It turned out to be a pretty good race. Coming up to the start, Dave Villwock grabbed the inside of the Budweiser, but Nate Brown came out ahead in lane 2 in the Lumar Window Film.
Just a marvelous start by Nate Brown. You don't very often outstart Dave Villwock in the Budweiser, but Nate did it here. A very tenacious little driver and a very fast race boat.
Nate, of course, understanding that in order to beat the Budweiser, you've got to get some kind of an advantage. From the O'Doul's eye in the sky, you see that Dave Villwock got right back up, very tight to the buoys there in lane 1, and coming out into the backstretch, pulled out ahead of Nate Brown.
Beautiful shot of the pearly blue waters of Pearl Harbor here in Hawaii. Great place to end our 1998 season. And early on here in Heat 1A, Dave Villwock and the Budweiser had things under control, but Nate Brown and the Lumar continued to challenge.
Dave slowing just a bit into the far turn, the Pearl City turn, as dubbed by my partner Steve Montgomery. Lumar came very wide there around that turn, and Villwock was able once again to stretch his lead back into the home stretch. Heading down toward that start-finish line. Then, later in Heat 1, Villwock had opened a pretty good lead over Nate Brown. But once again, Nate Brown begins to move up on the Budweiser. Watch here in the rooster tail as Villwock comes around the turn, and there is the big yellow boat.
Bill Worcester's boat has always run well here on Pearl Harbor. Back in its days as the Tide with George Woods driving, it ran very well here on the saltwater. It just likes this race course.
Coming down the home stretch, Nate Brown did manage to close some of the gap, but not quite enough, as Dave Villwock wound up taking Heat 1A in the Budweiser. There were actually 2 other boats scheduled to run in this heat. There you see Villwock as he took the checkered flag in Heat 1A, but they did not have such good luck, these other 2 boats. One was Mike Jones and the Miss KC, which is named for his daughter, KC, and Mike there sitting out in the water. The boat not running. Also, the Appy and Geronimo unable to finish this race. And Steve talked with the winner down at the dock.
He was wrong on my boat that time, Dave. So thanks again. Yeah.
David, a lot of concern about the wind. How's the race course?
Very good. Actually, you know, one thing good about it here in Hawaii, the wind does blow, but the race course stays very, very good. Pearl Harbor is a wonderful place to race, and you know, a fun place to race too. So it was great. I ran with the Lumar boat there. You know, motor fell off just a little bit, but then we were able to pick it up in the end and go ahead and win the race.
Well, Nate, that's a whole lot better than the last time we saw you. You had the white side up in San Diego. How's it feel getting back in the boat?
I like coming in my own power, I'll tell you. You know, the stiff line deals for the birds, and, you know, I don't like that. And You know, it's like anything else. First day out here, I took the rescue boat out. It's the first time I was ever sitting up in the rescue boat out in the water. That's a fun little boat, you know.
Any feelings at all about being back under the cockpit?
No, I mean, it's great. I love race boat driving. I love driving for Lumar Window Film here in Hawaii, Outrigger Hotels. It's great. The crew really are the people that you need to talk to, because I'm just the guy that gets to ride the sled down the hill. They had to push it up a big hill this last time around.
Yeah, but you're also the guy that gets the headache when it goes upside down.
It wasn't that bad, Steve.
Heat 1B featured the hometown boat, Bob Fendler's Waikiki Trolley, with Jerry Hale driving against the boat that was the overall winner here last year, as close call. Now the Wildfire with Mark Webber driving. This race was so good, we're going to show you the whole thing. Jerry Hale managed to grab the inside lane in Bob Fendler's Waikiki Trolley, which put the Wildfire with Mark Webber in lane 2. Steve David and the Gaylords unable to start Heat 1B, so it was a two-boat race, and as we said, a heck of a race it was. Good start for the Wildfire, good start too for the Waikiki Trolley on the inside from the O'Doul's Eye in the Sky. You see the Wildfire started to pull ahead around turn 1, the Aloha Stadium turn, but Jerry Hale stepped it up along the buoys.
Remember that Waikiki trolley boat is also a sister ship to those Pico American Dreams. Pretty good race boat, and when it gets the advantage on the inside, a faster race boat like the Wildfire certainly is on the outside has a long ways to go around, and it makes for a great boat race. If we could set them up like this, we'd have great racing all the time.
Coming down the back stretch and into the Pearl City turn for the first of 3 laps, it appeared at this point that Mark Webber had the race in hand, and the Gregory camp on shore saying, okay, good, we're doing very well, but look at this.
And there's a very graphic example of the advantage on the inside. You saw the Wildfire out ahead, but Jerry Hale doing a nice job of slingshotting the yellow boat around the turn right in the buoy line. A big advantage, and he took the lead right there. But now, once again, here comes the top end of the Wildfire. It was back and forth throughout this heat.
As they crossed the start-finish line and headed up for the second time into the Aloha Stadium turn 1, Mark Webber getting by Jerry Hale to the outside. But once again, the O'Doul's Eye in the Sky, we see how Jerry Hale took advantage of that inside lane.
You have to hand it to Jerry Hale. He was co-rookie of the year last year. Spent a good part of the season back in the slop as a trailer boat, which they make you do for a while. Literally got his brains beat out, but he has really learned to drive these big boats after many years in the smaller ones. And right here, he's given Mark Webber, one of America's fastest race drivers in the limited ranks, all he can handle in the Wildfire.
Halfway through the race, once again into turn 2, and look as Jerry Hale begins to move up on the inside.
The Waikiki trolley, by the way, is one of the devices you use to get around Waikiki, sponsoring Bob Fendler's boat here, the hometown ride. And again, they're going to come down to finish lap 2 side by side. This is great racing.
It was a little rough through that turn the second time around for Jerry Hale. And then as again they crossed the start-finish line, again, Mark Webber stepped on it and started to come by. We're changing angles here, but you can see that Webber had nosed out ahead at that point.
This boat has a great top end, as we've said before, at the end of the chute. It's probably the fastest boat in the fleet. Not the quickest off the exit pin, but the fastest at the top end. Now we've got 3/4 of a lap to go and a great boat race.
Jerry Hale, who must have run about a quarter mile less in this heat than Mark Webber did, taking advantage of the inside. This last time as they came down the back stretch, Webber opened it up.
And look at that great boat ride. This boat had been in the garage, obviously, for half of the season. Jim Lucero was involved with the sale of the boat to Kim Gregory, also put it together for this race, and has done a great job. Now it's going to be a drag race down to the checkered flag.
Mark Webber in the Wildfire on the outside, Jerry Hale on the Waikiki trolley on the inside, and this is where we saw the power of the Wildfire. Side by side, and then suddenly Wildfire was gone to take the checkered flag in Heat 1B here at Pearl Harbor. Mark Webber picks up 400 points as your winner in Heat 1B, followed by the Waikiki trolley, and as we mentioned earlier, Steve David not able to start, or at least not able to finish in the Gaylord's restaurant. Steve, talk with the winner.
Well, you get a good, strong boat on the inside, and it's not easy, huh?
No, it isn't. It's a long way around Hawaii. This is not an easy course to, you would definitely want to be in lane 1. But, yeah, Fendlers, they did a good job. We just had a little bit more smoke on them. I was going to go for one, and I didn't want to be that early. I figured, I just did another circle around. Lucero was talking to me in the ears, and he didn't like it, so it was a fun heat.
Lane 1 at high speed with a good quick boat on your right, and you got to be a little careful, but you still want to go fast.
Oh, absolutely. It felt like we were carrying him into the turn real good, and pretty much through the turn, but coming out, he had the exit speed, and we just had to giddy up and go the best we could, and it was a heck of a race, and Mark did a heck of a job.
ESPN Speed World coverage of the JN Automotive Hydrofest is brought to you by Ralph's, first in savings, first in Southern California. By Las Vegas, anything can happen and usually does when it comes to special events. And by O'Doul's non-alcoholic brew. It's what beer drinkers drink when they're not drinking beer. Welcome back to Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, the sobering sight of the Arizona Memorial here at Ford Island. On the other side of the island, Steve Montgomery ready to set us for Heat 2A.
Mitch Evans and the Appian Geronimo served notice in qualifying, just a heartbeat behind Dave Villwock and the Budweiser, that they would be a contender this weekend. Now in Heat 2A, they're drawn together. The questions are, will Mitch make a good start, and can he run with the Budweiser? The answers were no and yes.
Mitch Evans got lane 2 inside of Budweiser in lane 3 heading for the start. Wildfire trailed in lane 1, and to the outside it was Jerry Hale in the Waikiki trolley.
Mitch Evans had his boat positioned inside the Budweiser, but did not make a good start. The Budweiser with almost a rooster tail lead as they thundered into the Aloha Stadium turn for the first time, but Evans would use his advantage on the inside to make it a great boat race.
It has been the plan all year long for Jerry Rice's team to be the ones to challenge the Budweiser. You see, the Bud got a bit rough there, as did the Wildfire on the inside coming into that Pearl City turn. But Appian's been close, no cigar. Later on in Heat 2, the Budweiser ahead, but here Mitch Evans came up on him around that Pearl City turn, and down the straightaway was closing the gap briefly.
Dave Villwock had used his early advantage to establish the overlap and take away the inside, but now Mitch Evans threatened to drive around him in the Appian Geronimo, showing tremendous boat speed.
It did make for a longer race, however, for the Appian Geronimo. In this situation, it looked here as if it was going to work.
Once again, though, the inside advantage a little bit much for Mitch to overcome. But right here, the question still in doubt. Could the Appian Geronimo get around the Budweiser on the outside? And if he did, we were going to have quite a story.
Soon, though, the question was answered, and Big Red was the answer. Villwock took it across the finish line just ahead of the Appian Geronimo to take Heat 2A here on Pearl Harbor. Appian Geronimo gets by there at the last, but hey, the race is over, Mitch. Jerry Hale wound up 4th in Bob Fendler's Waikiki trolley, and 3rd place went to Mark Webber in the Wildfire. 800 points, another perfect 2 heats for Miss Budweiser in Pearl Harbor, and Steve talked to the man who was chasing her.
So the game plan apparently was to give Dave a nice head start and then run him down.
Yeah, it didn't work out that way. I was gonna hold back a little bit and try to get a run at with Mark Webber out there milling. I thought maybe he was gonna move him over far enough to get a slot inside, but when that all closed up, I just stood on the gas and made a run of it.
And you did make a run at it. You really had it going.
Yeah, the boat's running really well. You know, just a little bit more coming off the corner, we'd have a boat, but boy, it's a bullet down the straightaway, and made it for a great race.
Gaylords was not able to run in Heat 1, but the crew had it together for Heat 2B. And Steve David found himself in a heck of a race with Nate Brown in the Best Western Outrigger Hotels presents Lumar window film. In fact, Steve showed us how to make a boat run just long enough. Coming up to the start, Nate Brown grabbed lane 1. It was Steve David in lane 2, and in lane 3, Miss KC with Mike Hansen now taking over the driving duties from owner Mike Jones.
Mike Hansen, normally the pilot for the Miss Madison racing team, but they are back in Indiana lacking sponsorship. Mike showed up in Hawaii expecting to be a spectator, and here he is participating in the race on Pearl Harbor.
Mike, a veteran driver, a skilled driver. Miss KC, again named for Mike Jones's daughter KC, not necessarily the fastest boat out here in Pearl Harbor. Nate Brown, driving the Best Western Outrigger Hotels, presents Lumar window film, led the pack around the far turn, but look at the Miss KC right there with him at that point.
Mike Hansen substituting for Mike Weber, who had a great season in that boat. Mike is in China on business and could not be with us this weekend. But now, here comes Steve David, the black and yellow Gaylords on Kauai. Fine restaurant over there owned by Wally Wallace, sponsoring Jim Harvey here in the last race of the season. And finally, Jim Harvey and crew chief Tom Anderson appeared to have this boat running the way they wanted it to.
Steve David in lane 2 managed to get by the Lumar window film as they crossed the start-finish line and headed back into the Aloha Stadium turn. Now, later in Heat 2B, look at as Steve David moved up on Lumar window film, but Nate Brown with the inside took advantage of it and pulled back ahead around the Pearl City turn and into the straightaway.
Coming down now to complete lap 2, Nate Brown appeared to have established a lead that might take him to the checkered flag, but Steve David in the Gaylord's boat stayed there to challenge.
Now here they were as they came around that final turn. Lumar on the inside, Steve David on the outside, Lumar pulling away, and watch as Steve David's boat, the Gaylord, slows down. Lumar window film, Nate Brown wins the heat, and the Gaylords barely makes it across the finish line. In second place, Nate Brown, the Heat 2B winner. And there is Steve David, Gaylord's boat dead in the water, but he got across the finish line to take second in Heat 2B. And third place went to Michael Hansen, driving Mike Jones's Miss KC. Steve talked with the winner, but first to the second place driver.
Well, you made it to the finish line, and that was about it. Do you know what happened?
Real bad vibration. Something in the drivetrain went. Don't know if it was a prop or gearbox let go, and smelled a lot of phenolic material, which normally is bearing material in the shaft line. Something, but the boat was running great, and I thought we had him covered, but when it started vibrating, we had to give it to him.
Could be the end of the day then.
Oh, it's never the end of the day for Gaylords. I mean, we'll find some way to piece this thing together. We still got 50 gallons of Bondo in the truck.
Well, they call Steve David the Chihuahua. It's like he had a hold of your leg and wouldn't let go.
You know, we're all out here to put on a good show for the fans and everything else. And the Outrigger Hotel Lumar boat, you know, we had to go get everything together after that San Diego thing. And I have to hand it for the guys. They did a great job putting the thing back together again. And little do they know that wasn't much of a show. I was in it most all the time. So the guys behind me here did a great job too. So it was a good race. Hope the fans enjoyed it. And it's great to be here in Hawaii.
Welcome aboard to Admiral Woody Sutton as he gets on to the USS Russell, accompanied by Mrs. Sutton. We'll hear from him when our Speed World coverage of the JN Hydrofest continues from Pearl Harbor. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the final stop on the 1998 Ralph's Thunder Tour presented by Las Vegas. We are at historic Pearl Harbor with Heat 3A set to get underway. But first, John spent some time with our host here this weekend, Admiral Woody Sutton.
Well, Admiral, here we are again in Honolulu. It's great to be here. Talk about what this event means to you and the Navy.
Well, it's great to have you back again this year, John. Of course, Hydrofest has become the annual event in which we were able to open up Pearl Harbor and specifically Ford Island to the local community. And the local community gets to come over and enjoy this beautiful location, witness some world-class hydroplane racing, and be exposed to the U.S. Navy.
Not only do you see great racing, you feel a sense of history here, and I suppose it's an opportunity for recruiting.
Absolutely. Of course, now we have the USS Missouri here. As you see behind me, I have the USS Russell, which is one of our most modern, high-technology warships. And the Navy's looking for good young men and women to come operate this high-technology equipment and enjoy the exciting adventure of being a sailor in the United States Navy.
Now, of course, the Hydros are a bit smaller and faster. These ships are very, very large, but the folks on these ships and the hydroplane drivers do have some things in common.
Yes, they do. Number one, courage, stamina. They're intelligent. They're working on state-of-the-art equipment, and of course, our sailors have the benefit of traveling all around the world.
You're about the same size as Dave Villwock. What do you think about driving one of these Hydros?
I'd love to. It would really be a kick, and I think it would probably even be a little more exciting than driving one of these great warships.
You may have a point there. Dave Villwock is going to drive the Budweiser for himself in Heat 3A. This is the Waikiki Trolley with Jerry Hale driving. And Michael Hansen will be driving the Miss KC once again. We'll be ready for the start when our Speed World coverage continues.
When the final heat is run later this afternoon, we would expect the biggest challenge to Dave Villwock and the Miss Budweiser to come from boats like the Wildfire with Mark Webber driving, the Outrigger Hotel's Lumar window film entry with Nate Brown, and of course, the Appian Geronimo and Mitch Evans. But those boats are all drawn into Heat 3B. So they, like us, are spectators now as Dave Villwock and the Miss Budweiser take on the rest of the field here in Heat 3A.
Under 20 seconds to the start. Villwock has grabbed the inside lane for himself once again. Jerry Hale has lane 3 in the Waikiki trolley, and in between them, Michael Hansen driving the Miss KC in lane 2. Let's see who gets right to the start line on time.
You see the countdown, 2-1-0, a very safe start there, fairly conservative. And look at Mike Hansen, the young man from Indiana, a chance to go boat racing, and right now he has the Jones family's boat out ahead of Miss Budweiser.
From the O'Doul's eye in the sky, Dave Villwock driving, as Steve says, a conservative race so far, close to the buoys but not terribly fast yet. Jones' boat got a little bit wide there. Michael Hansen, the driver again, and there it looks like Villwock has started to open up the usual lead you would expect from Budweiser, but no. Here comes Michael Hansen again in lane 2. Look at him move up.
In this field, with the Budweiser on the inside, this heat should have been a foregone conclusion, but nobody told Mike Hansen that. We mentioned that this boat has run well all season. They've improved the turbine program. It's an older boat, but it rides very well, particularly in these conditions, obviously. And Mike Hansen is giving the Budweiser a good challenge here with the Bud on the inside. This is a big surprise, especially, I'm sure, for Dave Villwock.
I'll say Dave Villwock, however, did take advantage coming around that turn, opened up the lead, but here comes Michael Hansen again. Dave Villwock is the current leader in the Bud, but now he's not. Michael Hansen, a beautiful job from that angle of getting by the Bud. Mike Jones, the owner, drove this boat in the first heat. This was the only time Mike Jones has driven all year long. The boat was not able to start. He handed over the reins to Michael Hansen, and look at the job he's doing right here.
We mentioned that Mike Webber, the regular driver, who really had an outstanding season in this boat, is in China on business. If he knew how well Mike Hansen was doing here, stepping in, he'd be very proud. Mike Hansen is a veteran, many years in the Unlimiteds, most of them in that Miss Madison boat. Right now, he is leading this heat. What a story we have here.
Down the back stretch, Miss Casey actually opened a bit of a lead. Now the Budweiser with Dave Villwock moving back up once again. Trailing in this heat is Jerry Hale in the Waikiki trolley. And Steve David was not able to start as scheduled in the Gaylords for this heat. Once again, there goes Mike Hansen around the outside and ahead.
But the Budweiser has the inside. If Hansen can hold him off, I will be surprised. And now the Bud holding it right on the buoy line. Makes a nice run down to start finish again. But once again, here comes Hansen on the outside.
If he is able to pull this off, nobody will be more surprised than Dave Villwock, I can tell you that.
One lap to go now, and if Mike Hansen can hang on and stay ahead of the Miss Budweiser, we'll have the biggest story so far in the 1998 season. Doing a tremendous job. Now, from above, we see the Budweiser on the inside. He has led through the turns, every turn, John, but the old Exide boat there, driven by Mike Hansen, appears to have some shoot speed.
Hansen came a bit wide on that turn and then turned it back in, but Budweiser, no, wait a minute. I was about to say Budweiser opened it back up. Then from this angle, once again, here comes Michael Hansen.
1/2 a lap to go now. One turn remaining. The boat that gets through the Pearl City turn the smoothest is going to win this heat. It's not a foregone conclusion. We still have a 1/4 of a lap to go in a great boat race.
Wide once again goes Michael Hansen. Tight inside goes Dave Villwock down the final stretch out of this turn. It will be, as Steve likes to say, a drag race for the finish. But oh no, Miss Casey falling off out of that last turn. And here goes Dave Villwock in the Budweiser to take the checkered flag. What a great race until that last turn, and Michael Hansen seemed to lose just a bit of it, and Dave found that speed he normally has. Second place for Mike Hansen, though, in the Miss KC, a mighty good showing running around those 3 laps, and Waikiki Trolley with Jerry Hale hangs on to take third in Heat 3A. 1,200 points, 3 heats, 3 wins for the Miss Budweiser. Let's go down to the dock and Steve Montgomery.
Hey, pretty good afternoon water on Pearl Harbor, huh?
Sure is. Well, it's bumpy up on one side. It's real rough up there as the wind's blowing down into the second turn quite a bit. So, it's real rough there, but, I managed to get the Budweiser out front early. But Mike Hansen has given us a tough run. He was running the boat real good. So, it was a good race.
The biggest challenge to you in the final probably will come from these 3 boats about to run right now.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of fast boats here, you know, and any of them could win, but we're going to try to this. We got one more heat for this 1998 season, and we're going to try to win this next one.
Those 3 boats, Nate Brown and the Best Western Outrigger Hotels presents Lumar Window Film. Mitch Evans driving Jerry Rice's Appian Geronimo. And Mark Webber in Wildfire. They'll duel when our Speed World coverage continues. Welcome back to Ralph's UHRA Thunder Tour, presented by Las Vegas, the JN Automotive Hydrofest from Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. John Nicholson and Steve Montgomery. In that last heat, Michael Hansen and Miss KC gave the Bud a heck of a run for its money. Earlier, I talked with Mike and Mike Jones. Mike, you waited until Hawaii this year to get in the cockpit. What's up with that?
Well, unfortunately, I've been very busy working, and we had another Mike driving, Mike Webber, who's just done a spectacular job for us. As many of you know, he's in China for 3 months working, so I came over here to drive, and in the meantime, Mike Hansen moved out to Seattle, so I had him come and help us, and his name is Mike also. If you look at the side of the boat, it says Mike Webber, Mike Jones, Mike Hansen, and Mike question mark, so who knows who's next? What's your name again? Is it a Mike?
Okay, Michael Hansen, I imagine it's been kind of a long, tough year for you. At least you did get to race at Madison, but otherwise, no racing. Now here you are in Honolulu. What's the plan?
Well, actually, I helped Mike Jones the first couple races in Evansville and Detroit, just crewing for him. And, you know, that's what started out here in Hawaii is helping him. But it looks like I might do a little bit of pitch hitting and maybe the closing pitcher in a baseball game, but as far as the cockpit goes.
How do you feel about the opportunity to drive the boat?
Oh, that's why I do this. I mean, all the guys that climb in these things do it for the ride that you get out there. And, you know, I'm looking forward to it.
How's the boat running?
We're having a few problems, but it's salt water, and you know, we got to go at it gingerly. But you know, I think we'll be able to just finish the 3 heats. We'll put it in the final and go out and run the best stuff then.
What do you see as the chances of Michael Hansen driving Miss Madison next year?
Well, it all depends on whether or not Miss Madison runs. That's the biggest question. If they want to go run the boat, I'll obviously go back there and drive for them. I mean, that's 10 years of my heart and soul over there in Madison, Indiana. So it's a matter of being able to put a program together and sponsorship to go do it.
If they can't run, would you drive somebody else's?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I'd entertain that thought. There's no doubt about it. That's what I'm here in Hawaii for.
Michael Hansen in the market.
Well, in the ball game.
And right now, Steve Montgomery, they're out there dicing on the water, getting set for Heat 3B.
Actually went to school with a Mike Montgomery. The boats are on the water, a very evenly matched field here, particularly if this boat, the Appian Geronimo, does not get the inside. Could be a good one. It's coming up next here as we continue our coverage from Pearl Harbor.
It may be cold where you are, but it's always gorgeous here in Hawaii. Greetings of the season, as we say, Mele Kalikimaka. Here's Steve to set up 3B.
John, the pits have really been buzzing about the draw here for Heat 3B. All 3 boats very fast, fairly equally matched. The Wildfire, of course, is our defending champion as the close call last year. Nate Brown and the Outrigger Lumar window film boat have been very quick all weekend, and the Appian Geronimo and Mitch Evans may be the fastest in the field outside the Miss Budweiser. It should be a dandy right here in 3B.
Coming up to the start, it's the Appian Geronimo on the outside. Mitch Evans has her out there. The Wildfire, Mark Webber in lane 2 as we look at the Appian. And then to the inside as they approach the start, you'll see that Nate Brown has got the Best Western Outrigger Hotels presents Lumar window film in lane 1. There he comes to the inside. A little bit rough out there, Steve.
The Appian Geronimo was back a bit. The other 2 boats just about on time. Now that may be an advantage for Mitch Evans if he's able to fly up between boats with boat speed, but he has to go to the outside. So our fastest boat is going to trail the 2 others at the start. This could make for a great race. Good job by Mark Webber. Had his nose right on the line in the Wildfire.
Very good job indeed. As we watched it count down to 0, he was the only boat up there. He is in lane 2 as we look from the O'Doul's eye in the sky. We'll watch as Nate Brown will try to take advantage of the inside lane, and coming up to the outside in the Appian Geronimo is Mitch Evans.
Great shot there. Mark Webber made the best start, but the Lumar on the inside of him is a very fast boat, and on his right he knows he's got the Appian Geronimo. These 3 are virtually side by side now on the back straightaway after a half a lap, and this is the matchup we thought it might be. The Appian Geronimo, here he comes on the outside.
Went way to the outside around that turn, and now has caught up on the straightaway as they come into the Pearl City turn. From this angle is ahead, but I'll bet you as they come around this turn, you'll see them side by side by side.
They are staggered right now, just like the start of a 4 over 40. The boat on the inside back a bit, but as they swing through the turn, you see how they even out, and they're going to come down to start-finish at the end of lap 1, nearly side by side. What a great matchup.
Wildfire came out a bit and pushed the Appian even farther outside, while Nate Brown stayed tight to the buoys on the inside. Wildfire ahead. No, now it's Appian Geronimo ahead as we come to the start-finish line and back into the Aloha Stadium turn. Appian Geronimo edges ahead. Once again, Theo Duel's eye in the sky. Check the angle here. The short trip for Nate Brown on the inside, lane 1.
You could hear the crowd, the tremendous racing down the front straightaway at the end of lap 1 had them on their feet. Now the Wildfire back just a bit in 3rd place. The Appian is way outside, running a long race course, but he has the boat speed to do it. He's right beside Nate Brown now, who is 2 lanes to his left.
Really moving along in the Appian Geronimo, who again, as you said, Steve, went way wide coming out of the Aloha Stadium turn. Now, as he comes again into the Pearl City turn, has a bit of a lead over Nate Brown in the Lumar. But coming up in lane 2, Wildfire, Mark Webber, once again, they're going to be side by side as they come into the straightaway in front of the crowd.
Mark Webber drove deeper into the, he got loose there, but the Wildfire actually went from 3rd to 1st place in that turn. A tremendous job of driving by Mark Webber, but now he's got that challenge on the outside, and here comes the purple and green Appian Geronimo.
Mitch Evans using all that straightaway speed for the Appian. 1 lap to go into the Aloha Stadium turn one more time. He's on the outside. Theo Duel's eye in the sky. You see the slight advantage he has over Wildfire in lane 2. We don't yet see on the inside Nate Brown and Lumar window film. There could be a problem for Nate at this point. We seem to be down to 2 boats suddenly.
The Appian had to leave room on the inside. He's right beside the Wildfire, so he knows where he is. Now watch this race. Up the back straightaway, we would expect the Appian Geronimo to have the acceleration, but it's the Wildfire moving up beside him, and we know that boat has great top end.
Nose to nose, sponson to sponson. Appian edges out ahead, but now Wildfire in lane 2, closing in toward lane 1, because obviously Lumar window film is down somewhere along the course. The shorter race for Wildfire. Appian the greater speed. Side by side, Wildfire rough over the water there. Heading for the finish line. Here comes Appian Geronimo. Apparently nosing ahead. Across the finish line, it looks like Appian Geronimo. We can't, yes indeed, Appian Geronimo edges out Wildfire. Mitch Evans takes heat 3B. There's the Lumar window film, which had difficulty but got going once again. Let's see if he's going to finish out the course here, Nate Brown. No, sir, he is not. 700 points for Appian Geronimo. Wildfire second here, but has the greater total so far. Let's go down to Steve at the dock.
Well, Mitchell, we've had some boat races, but none better than that. How was it from where you sat?
Well, it was great. I had to run my legs off to get around those guys. I tell you what, the wind's starting to pick up a little bit, make it a little choppy down here to get over it, but the boat's running great. I'm looking forward to the final heat. We're going to have a heck of a run.
1 heat left. I suspect you'll throw just about everything that you and Mr. Rise have at the Red Boat, huh?
We'll put the truck, the trailer, everybody we got. It's all going in there, I guarantee you.
The final is straight ahead here in our Speed World coverage. This shot, courtesy of our ace photographer, Mike Mullen. It's all downhill from here.
Ho, 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 ho. Mele Kalikimaka.
Mele Kalikimaka.
And a holy makahiki ho.
Mele Kalikimaka.
Mele Kalikimaka from Ken Muscatel, driver of the U-14 and commissioner of the UHRA. Mele Kalikimaka, Hawaii.
Today's Alamo Almanac is brought to you by Alamo Rent-A-Car. It's drive happy time again. Ready, set, go. This is the Hawaii Kai 3, a classic hydroplane who won her last race in 1958. Now, she normally lives in the Hydroplane Raceboat Museum in Seattle, but this weekend has been running right here on the waters of Pearl Harbor, and the driver, well, conveniently enough, Commissioner Ken Muscatel does not have a boat to race, so he's been driving this one, not racing it, but having a great time for himself and his passengers.
Oh, it's great.
Well, you ready to race?
Yeah, where's my boat?
I thought Ken had one for you.
Hey, I like it. I like it. Well, that was great. God, Ken did a great job. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
That was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Well, that just proves the point that boat racing and Go Navy go together.
Go Navy and UHRA. How about that?
Right.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Whew. Whew.
The Alamo Almanac has been sponsored by Alamo, where renting a car is fun. Let Alamo put you smiles ahead with Drive Happy deals and services. We are just minutes away from the final of the JN Automotive Hydrofest here at Pearl Harbor. Our Speed World coverage continues. Welcome back to Ralph's UHRA Thunder Tour presented by Las Vegas. John Nicholson, Steve Montgomery, Pearl Harbor, Hawaii for the JN Automotive Hydrofest. The boat's getting fired up for the final here at Pearl Harbor. There is the Wildfire with Mark Webber, and here is always the favorite, Dave Villwalk in the butt.
And it is the final of the 1998 season, the UHRA Thunder Tour, presented by Las Vegas and Ralph's, who had a tremendous year. The Budweiser team sewing up the championship several weeks ago. We've quite often come here to Hawaii with that still in doubt. That won't be the case this year. It's been a great season of racing, though, once again, and we are pleased to be able to end it here in paradise. Always a great way to finish up.
Beautiful shot of the Aloha Stadium turn one as we watch Mark Webber and the Wildfire go around. The Wildfire, by the way, named by Kim Gregory for the old Michael Murphy song, Wildfire. He just kind of liked it. Mitch Evans, Appy and Geronimo, named for Jerry Rise, the owner's company.
Couple of boats that could challenge the Budweiser here in our final heat of the year, and if one of them were to pull off a victory here, we'd have quite a surprise and a big story to finish the 1998 Ralph's Thunder Tour presented by Las Vegas.
Now, a moment ago we saw Captain Hank Sanford getting a ride with Commissioner Ken Muscatel. Here's Steve to talk with him in his official Navy role.
Well, John, a year ago, Captain Hank Sanford was at the U.S. Naval Academy at Annapolis. He is now commanding officer of Naval Station Pearl Harbor. Captain Sanford, welcome to the sport. When did you find out the world's fastest race boats went with this assignment?
I heard about Hydrofest before I came here, but I really had no idea what went into putting on this event. It's really remarkable to see both the business community, the local community, and the whole Hawaii Ohana, the family, come together with the Navy to put on such a premier event.
I know it's an unusual event for the Navy to be involved in, but you can see why they chose to make the step.
Absolutely. It's a great venue here at Ford Island. It's an historic setting with great facilities, and to bring everything together, make it a family event, and see the community come together is really spectacular. And we just really like putting this on.
Welcome to boat racing. We'll have you with us for a couple of years, we hope.
Looking forward to it. And go Navy.
Under 4 minutes to the start of our final heat of 1998. Appy and Geronimo cruising along here. Still just a bit early to establish position, but not long from now we're going to see it happening. Gaylords, Steve David having trouble getting going. We'll be back for the final in a moment. ESPN Speed World coverage of the JN Automotive Hydrofest is brought to you by Ralph's, first in savings, first in Southern California. By Las Vegas, anything can happen, and usually does when it comes to special events. And by O'Doul's non-alcoholic brew. It's what beer drinkers drink when they're not drinking beer.
John, there's a very special feeling here in the pit area as we prepare to run the final heat of the 1998 racing season. The Budweiser team clinched the national championship some time ago, but they haven't won this event, and they'd like to make it 9 wins in one season, the most ever. They already have the record with 8. Everybody, though, is going to be throwing everything they have at the Budweiser team. Could this be the day the Appy and Geronimo and Mitch Evans break through? Let's find out.
Under a minute and a half to go. The Budweiser has taken lane 1 in each heat so far, and Dave Villwalk has got her in there once again.
He has lane 1, but it's very early. Someone could cut through the infield and take it away from him. We have to keep an eye on that now. At the 1 minute mark, they want to be starting up the back straightaway. We see one boat a little bit early, but the field beginning to form now. And once again, Jim Harvey and Steve David, the Gremlins, continue aboard that boat.
We just saw the clock go under 1 minute, the boat not up and on plane, and that means even if he can get it going now, he will not be allowed to race in this final heat. Here comes the Budweiser around the outside. This is seen as a run between Dave Villwalk in this boat and Mitch Evans in the Appy and Geronimo, but the other guys are not out there just for fun, and oftentimes strategy does come into play. Appy, and obviously, will try to find some way to get a bit of an edge on the Bud. What that is remains to be seen.
That is Nate Brown turning down the front straightaway, and he's very early. He's going to have to make another little loop or something before the start here. We saw that there was a boat running ahead of the Budweiser there in our last shot. Now there goes Nate, and he's going to turn into the infield and make a loop. That's going to put him late. Here comes the Appian Geronimo. He looks early.
Appian looks to be very early as we come down to the start line. Still 8 seconds to go. He's slowing down a little bit.
He had to be over the line. The Appian was way out ahead. He had to be too early.
No official call on it yet, though, and there is 0-0. Budweiser also was right up there as we got to the start, and Wildfire, as we look from the O'Doul's eye in the sky, making a very good run off the start. He, I don't believe, was early.
Well, the Budweiser was awfully close. We're going to have to wait for the official call on that. I think we can guarantee you that Mitch Evans and the Appian Geronimo were early, but that's not official. He is leading the race up the back straightaway at this point.
Up in front, Appian Geronimo down the straightaway for the first time in this 5-lap final, but Wildfire is coming into your picture here in second place, trying to close that gap, and back there a bit behind the Wildfire is Dave Villwalk in the Miss Budweiser.
Well, we could have an upset brewing here. The Budweiser may have jumped the gun, and even if he didn't, he's running back in third place on the water as the Appian Geronimo comes by to finish lap 1. We are still awaiting word from the officials. They tell us they are looking at the videotape of the start.
These conditions appear to be as rough as we've had all day here today in Pearl Harbor, Steve.
And here's the word. The U-20 and the U-1 have both jumped the gun. The Appian Geronimo and the Miss Budweiser are both a lap behind for starting too early. Mark Webber and the Wildfire are leading this final heat. What a story we have developing here.
From the O'Doul's eye in the sky, we see the route that Mitch Evans is running in the Appian Geronimo, but he now has to run 6 laps, as does Dave Villwalk here in the Miss Budweiser, before they can take the checkered flag. So the Wildfire with Mark Webber right now running second is in fact our leader because he only has to go 5 laps. He got to the clock start on time.
And look at the tremendous lead that Mitch Evans has. He started a few seconds too early, granted, but he is also driven away from the field. If he had made a good start, John, this is the boat we'd be talking about pulling off the upset, but instead for Mitch, it's going to be another disappointment.
Fast as this boat is, fast as the Budweiser is, in a 5-lap final where they have to run 6, do they possibly have enough speed to catch the Wildfire?
I wouldn't think so, because the Wildfire is not a slow boat. In fact, right now he's running ahead of the Budweiser that we're looking at. The Bud is running third on the water, and of course he's back further than that officially with the penalized lap he has to run for jumping the gun. But look at the Appian Geronimo. This could have been his day, but something happened. Mitch Evans' timing was really terribly off.
So there is our official leader at this point. Mark Webber driving the Wildfire, owned by Kim Gregory, his wife Debbie. They have got to be just excited as can be. 3 races ago, counting this one actually, is when they started this season with the old close call boat, and here they are on course to get a win.
Now, when we got word of the penalties on the UHRA radio, so did the Wildfire team. So right now, all 3 drivers know the situation. Mitch Evans and Dave Villwalk know they've been penalized. Mark Webber knows he's leading, and this boat, the Miss KC, is officially in second place, even though he's running 4th on the water.
Mark Webber, if he is able to win this race, would, in a sense, defend the title here, because this boat won here last year. It was Mark Tate driving it. Steve Woomer was then the owner, the late Steve Woomer, and it was then the close call. But this is the boat that won a year ago.
For this team, if they win this race, it's going to be one tremendous story. They've only been together as an unlimited team for a few weeks, but of course, Kim and Debbie Gregory and George Stratton, their unlimited light driver, have a tremendous history going way back to K-boats and Grand Prix boats. But to step up into the unlimiteds and win a race this soon would be a big story, and it's not going to be a good story for Bob Fendler and Jerry Hale and the Waikiki Trolley.
That boat obviously having some trouble there and slowing down to a stop in the inside lane here. This could also cause some difficulty for the boats coming around as we watch Mark Webber come around in the Wildfire.
He's got to be an excited young man right now. He just has to keep this boat on the water. It's very, well, no one is even threatening to make up that lap and take it back away from him. He just has to keep it running, and we're going to have an upset winner here in our final event of 1998.
We saw Mark Webber swing wide around the stopped in the water Waikiki Trolley there in lane 1 safely, and that's Budweiser just coming into the picture a moment ago, trying to move up, but again, he's still got another lap to go. Currently third, Nate Brown in the Best Western Outrigger Hotels presents Lumar Window Film.
And that boat is not healthy. He'd be running up there, I'm certain, with the KC if all was well. Now, the Budweiser on the water is moving up into second place behind the Appian Geronimo, but that doesn't put him in the lead. He'd have to make up a whole nother lap on the boat right behind him, the Wildfire.
Mark Webber watching Dave Villwock going by and no doubt saying, go ahead, Dave, no problem.
Knock yourself out.
I don't think you can make up a whole lap on me.
Now the Budweiser swing. Boy, he's running fast. Villwock has his foot to the floor. He's going to go after the Appian Geronimo. And this could end up being a race for second place, John, because these two boats do have the speed to pass the rest of the field. I don't think they'll catch the Wildfire, but a lot of things can happen to an unlimited hydroplane in a couple of laps. And some of them,
almost lost a skid fin there coming out to Dave Villwock in the Budweiser. Here's the Wildfire now heading down toward the finish in the championship here, and Wildfire takes the checkered flag. What a great upset win for Mark Webber, the Kim Gregory team, the whole family, Jim Lucero, the crew chief. At the other end of the spectrum, Mike Jones is Miss KC, Michael Hansen, the driver, dead in the water. Look at this race for second place. Budweiser is getting by Appian Geronimo coming down the stretch. Dave Villwock, a man with so much pride, the team with so much pride, could not win here, but he did come by Appian at the end and grabbed second place in a 6-lap race for him. 1,500 points on the day, but it's a winner-take-all final, and Wildfire takes it all. Steve is down on the dock to talk with the owners of Wildfire.
Mr. and Mrs. Gregory, how's that for a way to end the season, huh?
That's unbelievable. That's absolutely unbelievable. We kind of worked on this thing all weekend long, trying to get her up a little more speed, got some more speed, and then decided on letting the race come to us and being in the right spot, and worked great. I want to thank everybody.
Yeah. Debbie, how'd your driver do?
Our driver's awesome. He's the best one. I'm telling you, he's just such a smart driver.
Final O'Doul's high point standings. Budweiser easily. Jim Harvey's Gaylord's team hangs on to take second. Now, here's Steve with the winning driver.
Mark, the first thing you have to do is make a good, strong, legal start, huh?
Yeah, you know, you were talking to me on the PA. I didn't tell you everything.
Okay. That went according to plan then.
I wasn't gonna beat them. They had to beat themselves. I knew that. I got salted down earlier in the day. Lucero and Gregory and Weber had a little talk in the truck, and it worked.
Congratulations. You got some fun to look forward to now. A great celebration.
Winter should go well.
Indeed, winter should go well. It's been a great season. We certainly thank you for joining us. Our congratulations to Mark Webber, the Gregorys, to Bernie Little, the entire Miss Budweiser team, the champions of this year. Our thanks to our producer, Ryan Kindle. For Steve Montgomery, I'm John Nicholson. Again, thanks for being with us. And from Pearl Harbor, aloha. We'll see you next year on the UHRA Thunder Tour.